Dear beloved friend, good morning. The first hush of dawn spreads across the horizon. May you feel the soft breath of creation awakening around you. The air is still cool, kissed with dew, and the sky is painting its slow promise of light. Somewhere, a bird begins to sing, and in that fragile note, the world remembers that it has survived another night. You are here, alive, breathing, standing at the edge between darkness and daylight. This is the holiest hour of the day, when the earth is quiet enough for heaven to be heard. Perhaps you did not wake easily today. Maybe your eyes opened not because you felt rested, but because sleep could no longer hold the weight of your thoughts. Somewhere deep inside, the ache still lingers. It might be the silence left by someone you loved, the fear of what tomorrow might steal, or the awareness that comes from holding everything together when no one seems to notice. We all know that the one that hums beneath the surface of every heartbeat, whispering questions no one can answer. There was once a woman who woke each morning before the sun. Her husband had passed. Her children lived far away, and the small house seemed too quiet for her memories. For months, she would sit by the window with a cup of coffee that went cold in her hands, staring into a world that had lost its color. One morning, she whispered, "If you can still hear me, teach me how to live again." That simple prayer, born from exhaustion, became the doorway to healing. She began each day not with what she had lost, but with what still remained: breath, light, and the faint pulse of hope. In time, she learned that the morning is not proof that pain has ended, but that mercy has begun again. You might find yourself standing in the same place she once stood, between grief and grace, fear and faith. The truth is, no one walks through this world untouched by shadow. Yet there is something sacred in the struggle, because every dawn holds the chance for renewal. The light does not erase the night. It transforms it. The wounds do not define the soul. They become the soil where strength grows. Prayer, then, is not an escape from life. It is the courage to face it with God beside you. It is the language of those who still believe that love is stronger than loss, and that peace is possible even when answers are not. Prayer turns despair into dialogue, and silence into sanctuary. So, as this new day unfolds, I invite you to pause. Let the world wait for just a moment. Let the noise of yesterday drift behind you. Take a deep breath and listen not to the echo of your worries, but to the gentle call that says, "You are not alone." This morning is not ordinary. It is a divine appointment, a quiet conversation between your heart and the one who shaped it. Come as you are. You do not need polished words or perfect faith. You only need honesty. Let the first light that touches the earth also touch your soul. Let it remind you that the same God who commanded the sun to rise still knows your name. This is the hour of awakening, the hour when heaven leans close. Let us begin the journey inward, the journey of prayer, where hope is reborn, where wounds begin to close, and where peace, like the morning light, finds its way home to you. Dear Heavenly Father, as the first breath of morning stirs the air, I come before you with an open heart. The world outside is still quiet. the sky unfolding like a promise, and the light is just beginning to draw its soft line across the horizon. In this tender hour between night and day, I sense something sacred, a space where my spirit can breathe again. I have carried so many thoughts through the dark hours, and now, as dawn returns, I bring them to you. I do not come with perfection. I come with honesty. You have given me this day as a fresh beginning, a canvas washed clean by mercy. I am aware of how fragile I am, how easily I lose sight of peace amid the noise of living. Yet here, in the silence of early morning, I remember that life itself is your gift. Every inhale is a reminder that you still have a purpose for me. Let this first light settle into my bones and remind me that I am not my failures, not my fears, and not the heaviness that tried to follow me into today. I lift my eyes toward the pale sky and whisper gratitude for what often goes unseen. The warmth of breath, the rhythm of a heartbeat, the chance to begin again. I thank you for holding me through the shadows of night, for guarding my mind when worry crept close, and for awakening me gently when my thoughts were restless. I know you were near even when I could not feel it. You have been the stillness behind every moment of chaos, the quiet voice reminding me that I am not alone. Teach me this morning to live slowly enough to notice you. Let me not rush past the grace that hovers in small things, the hum of the earth waking up, the smell of rain, the laughter waiting to happen. Help me to see the holiness woven into the ordinary. Let gratitude shape my vision until everything I touch becomes a reminder of your kindness. I surrender the hours ahead into your care. You know what awaits me, the conversations I dread, the tasks that seem too heavy, the questions I cannot answer. You know the people I will meet and the choices I will face. Go before me into every moment, steady my steps before they falter, and soften my voice before it hardens when fear rises. Teach me to breathe your peace instead of panic. When frustration comes, anchor me in patience. When pride tempts me to forget love, remind me that mercy is stronger than control. I ask you to guard my mind today. Let truth be the gate that keeps confusion out. Let compassion be the shield that protects my thoughts from bitterness. I want to think with clarity, to speak with sincerity, and to act with purpose. Let my inner life reflect the calm of this morning, the stillness that listens, the strength that trusts. When I am tempted to rush, remind me that faith is not in speed, but in steady obedience. I pray for those whose mornings begin with tears, for those who have woken into grief, uncertainty, or loneliness. Wrap them in the same gentle light that reaches me now. Let them feel your nearness in the quiet corners of their pain. Remind them that even when life feels fragile, your hands remain firm. Let hope rise like sunlight breaking through mist. And for my own heart, teach me to be kind to the parts of me still learning how to heal. Do not let regret chain me to yesterday or fear steal tomorrow before it arrives. I do not need to have all the answers. I only need to stay open to your presence. You are the author of renewal, the keeper of peace, and the one who turns small beginnings into lasting strength. So here I stand, under a sky turning gold, my hands open to receive what this day will bring. Let my first words shape the rest of the hours. Let them be words of gratitude, surrender, and quiet trust. I welcome this morning not as another repetition of time, but as a sacred meeting between heaven and earth, between my heart and yours. Let your light guide me, your breath sustain me, and your love remind me that every dawn is proof of your faithfulness, renewed once again. Father, the morning still holds its silence, and I remain within it, breathing slowly as the light grows stronger. My heart feels softer than it did before, as if the dawn has loosened something that was locked inside me. In this stillness, I begin to sense the weight of all I have carried, the unspoken words, the hurried moments, the pieces of me that have drifted away from who I want to be. It is not guilt that draws me here, but the longing to be honest with you, to stand uncovered before the one who already knows me completely. I do not need grand speeches or rehearsed prayers. I only need truth. There are days I have spoken carelessly and wounded others without seeing it. There are moments when I chose silence out of fear instead of love out of courage. There are times when I tried to appear strong rather than admit that I was breaking. You know it all, Lord. Yet you meet me not with anger, but with invitation. The morning sun climbs the edge of the window, and I realize that confession is not a punishment, it is a homecoming. God, let this be the hour when I return to you, not out of shame, but out of trust. Search me gently. Reveal the thoughts that hide behind excuses. Expose the motives that look good on the surface, but lack compassion underneath. Teach me to name what is broken without defending it, to release what no longer serves love, and to believe that mercy is not a scarce resource. Wash the corners of my heart that pride has hardened. Let humility rise within me like light dissolving the last shadow of night. I remember how easily I rush through days, without noticing how my words shape the air around me. I confess how quickly I judge, how slowly I forgive, how often I choose distraction over prayer. Yet even as I say these things, I feel your patience surround me. It is not the harshness of correction that I sense, but the kindness that leads to change. You are not the voice that condemns. You are the whisper that says, "Come closer." And so I do. Father, teach me the language of cleansing. Let each breath become a quiet act of repentance. Let each exhale carry away the residue of regret, and each inhale draw in your renewing grace. I release the need to be right. I release the bitterness that keeps old wounds alive. I release the self-pity that hides behind exhaustion. I release the fear that I am too late to begin again. You have written forgiveness into the rhythm of morning itself, and I want to live inside that rhythm. Let your mercy not only wash over me, but through me, reaching the parts I often hide. Heal the places where I have hurt myself by believing lies about my worth. Mend the fractures where love has been withheld too long. Teach me to forgive those who never apologized, and to accept my own apology where I once fell short. I do not wish to carry resentment into another sunrise. I wish only to carry peace. As I look back, I can see how every failure has become a teacher. The times I stumbled were not wasted. They brought me to the realization that strength without surrender is hollow. You never left me in my mistakes. You waited within them until I looked up. You are not counting my wrongs. You are counting the moments I turned toward you. Each moment of honesty becomes a seed of freedom, and I want to plant many this morning. Lord, I ask for a clean heart, not a perfect one. Let it beat with tenderness for others and for myself. Let it hold compassion where judgment once lived. Let it seek truth without fear of what it may reveal. And when I falter again, remind me that repentance is not a single act, but a daily rhythm, a way of walking humbly through the world with open hands and an open soul. I thank you for not demanding perfection before allowing peace. You meet me right here, mid-confession, with love that does not flinch. You rewrite my story not by erasing its scars, but by making them shine with redemption. What was once heavy becomes holy. What was once hidden becomes healed. The morning has deepened now, its light steady and warm against my face, and I feel as though forgiveness itself has taken shape within the air. In this quiet space, I let go of what I cannot fix alone and hold on to what only grace can restore. Let this honesty become the ground where faith grows deeper roots. Let humility guide my decisions today, and gentleness govern my words. I step forward lighter, not because the past has disappeared, but because love has transformed it into wisdom. I trust that where confession meets compassion, life begins anew. Lord, as the light strengthens across the horizon, I feel the quiet clarity that follows confession. My heart has been unburdened, and now my thoughts begin to awaken like a garden touched by morning sun. Yet I know how quickly peace can scatter when the day begins to move. The mind is a restless place, easily pulled by fear, comparison, and the thousand distractions that whisper for attention. I bring mine to you now, asking not for escape, but for order, for the gentle discipline that allows me to think with truth and not with turmoil. Father, guard this space within me where thoughts are born. Let it become a sanctuary rather than a battlefield. Too often, my mind runs ahead of grace, worrying about what might happen before it ever does. Teach me to notice when anxiety starts to build its walls, and remind me that your presence dismantles them. I do not want to live from reaction. I want to live from trust. Help me to recognize the patterns that pull me away from peace, the overthinking, the silent rehearsals of fear, the inner voices that never rest. Replace them with the steady rhythm of faith that beats softly beneath the noise. You created the mind as a gift, not a cage. You gave imagination so that I could see beauty before it arrives and recall hope even when memory fades. Yet sometimes this gift feels heavy, tangled in worry or regret. I ask you to renew it, to sweep through my thoughts like a cleansing wind. Clear away the clutter of resentment and self-doubt. Leave only what aligns with love, courage, and purpose. Let my mind mirror the clarity of morning sky, vast, open, and filled with quiet light. When I am tempted to dwell on what cannot be changed, remind me that peace does not depend on control. When my thoughts begin to spiral, teach me the art of pausing. Let each pause become a small prayer, a breath that says, "Be still." Show me how to separate what is urgent from what is important, what is loud from what is lasting. In that separation, give me wisdom to choose what truly deserves my energy. God, I ask that you would protect my mind from the voices that do not belong here. Let truth stand at the door, keeping deceit outside. Let compassion be the watchman that guards against judgment. Let gratitude be the light that exposes every shadow of complaint. And when doubt tries to enter disguised as reason, let faith rise to answer with quiet confidence. My thoughts were never meant to rule me. They were meant to serve love. As I prepare for the tasks ahead, I know the world will speak loudly. News, opinions, demands, and noise will crowd my senses. But even in that noise, let there be an inner stillness that remains untouched. Teach me to return there often, not to escape life, but to stay anchored in its center. Let this stillness be the soil where ideas grow with integrity, where compassion forms before words are spoken, where patience finds its strength. Father, bless my memory today. Let it not replay old failures as if they are current truths. Instead, let memory become a place of learning, not shame or reminder of where you have already delivered me, and how far your hand has led. Let me recall kindness more easily than pain, and lessons more quickly than regrets. I ask that you fill my recollection with gratitude, so that even the difficult chapters remind me of growth, not loss, and bless my imagination. Keep it from fierce distortions. Let it dream in alignment with your will, envisioning possibilities shaped by love, not pride. May it see solutions where others see walls. May it create beauty out of limitation and hope out of uncertainty. Make it fertile ground for inspiration, not anxiety. I want my mind to be a tool of peace, sharp, clear, and compassionate. Lord, I dedicate the work of my thoughts to you. Whether I write, plan, build, or speak, let everything that flows from my mind carry a trace of your wisdom. Let creativity never drift from humility. Let intelligence never separate from empathy. Let insight never lose tenderness. Guard me from the arrogance that thinks knowledge is enough without love to guide it. And when fatigue settles in, when focus blurs and clarity fades, remind me to rest. Remind me that mental rest is not idleness, but trust that stepping back is often the doorway through which new understanding enters. In rest, restore the sharpness dulled by effort. In stillness, let the small voice of truth be heard again. As the morning brightens fully now, I feel my thoughts aligning with the rhythm of your peace. What once raced within me slows to the pace of grace. The inner noise quiets, replaced by a sense of direction that is both calm and clear. My mind, once scattered, begins to settle into the confidence of knowing that you are near. I carry this peace forward not as a fragile state to protect, but as a gift to share, wherever my mind goes today into conversation, decision, or silence. Let it bring light, clarity, and the fragrance of wisdom that can only come from you, God. The morning light deepens, and in its brightness I feel the echo of the calm you left within me. My thoughts, once tangled, now rest in order, and beneath that order there is a deeper longing to hear you, not only through scripture or circumstance, but through the quiet rhythm of life itself. My heart leans forward like an open window, waiting for the wind of your voice to pass through. I do not ask for thunder or signs, only for awareness, the sacred attentiveness that recognizes you even in whispers. Father, teach me to listen beyond sound. There are words that fall upon the ear, and then there are truths that settle inside the spirit. I want to know the difference. When the world grows loud with opinions and noise, help me discern the subtle language of your guidance. Let my heart become fluent in silence. Let it translate stillness into wisdom. Too often, I listen to react rather than to receive. I want to listen the way the earth listens, to reign without argument. Without hurry, simply open until it soaks through everything dry within me. You have spoken before, not always in the ways I expected. Sometimes it was through peace that interrupted panic, or through the timing of something small that arrived exactly when it was needed. Sometimes it was through people who carried kindness they did not know I prayed for. I remember those moments now, not as coincidences, but as conversation. You were speaking through them, teaching me that your voice does not compete with noise. It waits beneath it. Lord, make me sensitive to that waiting voice. When frustration rises, remind me to pause and listen instead of filling the air with complaint. When fear grows loud, remind me that your calm is louder still. When I do not understand the path ahead, let me stop searching for signs in chaos and start searching for peace in your presence. Let peace be the evidence that I am near your will. There are days when your silence feels like distance, but I am learning that silence is not absence. It is an invitation to lean closer. You are never withholding love. You are deepening trust. You are not ignoring. You are preparing. The same way dawn takes time to reach its full brightness. Your answers unfold gradually, and their timing teaches patience. I do not want to rush revelation. I want to grow into it. Father, tune my heart like an instrument to the frequency of heaven. Remove the static of fear, the distortion of pride, the noise of self. Let humility sharpen my hearing. Let obedience fine-tune my soul. Help me notice the quiet nudges that direct me toward kindness, the gentle conviction that warns me before I speak harm, the encouragement that stirs when I am ready to give up. These are the ways you speak, and I want to recognize them as easily as I recognize my own name. I know there will be moments today when decisions appear without warning. In those moments, teach me to pause inwardly, even if just for a breath, and ask, what is love asking of me now? That question alone can turn confusion into clarity. Love never shouts, but always guides. Love is the tone of your voice. Let me hear it in every interaction, in every pause, in every quiet act that seems too small to matter. God, let listening become my act of worship. Let it shape my responses and soften my reactions. When someone speaks in anger, help me hear their pain beneath the words. When someone asks for help indirectly, help me sense the plea they cannot express. Listening is how compassion breathes, and I want my life to breathe compassion. Let me listen not to reply, but to restore. There are also moments when you speak through the beauty that surrounds me, the wind moving through trees, the rhythm of footsteps on a morning road, the distant call of a bird. These are not just sounds. They are reminders that creation itself is tuned to your presence. If I am still enough, I can hear the harmony you wrote into the world. Let that awareness keep my soul anchored even when the day becomes heavy. And when your words come, not as commands but as comfort, let me receive them fully. I do not want to dismiss gentle encouragements as imagination. I do not want to overlook the guidance that arrives through ordinary moments. Teach me that revelation is not always spectacular. Sometimes it is simply steady. Sometimes your voice is not a flame, but a slow, burning light that never goes out. As the morning ripens into day, my heart remains in quiet attention. I do not chase the voice of heaven. I welcome it. I do not demand instruction. I invite understanding. I do not listen to achieve clarity. I listen to remain close. In the space between each breath, I can already sense you near, wordless yet present, silent yet speaking. Let this awareness follow me into every hour ahead, shaping how I see, how I act, how I love. May my heart continue to hear you long after this prayer ends, through laughter, through challenge, through ordinary noise. Let each sound of life become a note within the melody of your presence. And when the day closes again into quiet, let me look back and realize that I did not walk through random hours, but through a continuous conversation with you, one that began with morning light and never truly ceased. Father, as I move from the stillness of listening into the rhythm of the day, I sense how easily reverence can fade once the world awakens. The gentle quiet where your presence felt near begins to fill with tasks, deadlines, and noise. Yet I know this is where faith must live, not only in prayer, but in the simple choices that make up a life. I do not ask for grand assignments or visible miracles. I ask for the strength to do the small things faithfully, the unseen things that still echo in heaven. Give me courage for ordinary obedience, for the kind of devotion that does not seek applause, but chooses integrity when no one is watching. Lord, help me remember that holiness is not reserved for sanctuaries or mountaintops. It grows in kitchens, offices, and city streets. It is born in how I speak, how I wait, how I respond when life does not bend to my plans. Teach me to carry sacred awareness into every corner of the day, to treat even the mundane as holy ground. When I sweep a floor, answer a message, prepare a meal, or listen to a weary friend, let me see it as service to you. Nothing offered in love is ever wasted. You know how often I chase significance, thinking that only big gestures matter. But the world is changed quietly, through kindness that costs little but means everything. Give me the courage to be faithful in obscurity. Let humility replace the hunger for recognition. When I am tempted to measure success by what others see, remind me that you weigh things differently. You look not at outcomes, but at obedience, not at applause, but at consistency. Let me live today as if every act, however small, carries eternal weight. Father, sometimes obedience feels dull. It asks for steady perseverance rather than dramatic passion. It demands patience when excitement fades. I confess that I often prefer revelation to repetition, miracles to maintenance. Yet I am beginning to see that love grows deeper in the daily choosing and showing up when I feel unseen, in finishing what I began, in extending grace when I would rather withdraw. These quiet acts are the soil where faith roots itself. Help me not to overlook them. God, I ask you to guide my hands as I work. Let diligence be my offering, and excellence my worship. Deliver me from distraction that masquerades as productivity. Let me focus not on doing more, but on doing what matters most, and doing it with a whole heart. When weariness whispers that no one notices, remind me that you do. You see the effort behind each good intention, the thoughtfulness behind each quiet gesture, the perseverance behind each unfinished dream. In your sight, nothing done in love disappears. When I face difficult people or situations that test my patience, let obedience mean choosing peace over pride. Let me answer criticism with gentleness and frustration with grace. Teach me that restraint can be as powerful as speech, that mercy can achieve what control cannot. Let every conversation be measured by kindness, every decision filtered through compassion. These are the disciplines that build character, and I want my life to speak your character more than my words ever could. There are mornings when I wake feeling small, uncertain, or inadequate for what lies ahead. On those mornings, whisper again that obedience is not about strength, but about surrender. You do not ask for perfection. You ask for willingness. A willing heart is enough for you to shape into something useful. So I offer my weakness as material for your strength. Shape it as you will. Let courage not mean the absence of fear, but the decision to act in faith despite it. Lord, give me eyes to notice where love is needed most. Let me see interruptions not as inconveniences, but as invitations. The neighbor who needs a listening ear, the stranger who crosses my path, the friend who hides pain behind a smile. These are the moments where ordinary obedience becomes extraordinary grace. Help me pause long enough to care, and care deeply enough to make a difference. I know there will be times today when obedience will ask for silence instead of defense, service instead of credit, forgiveness instead of justice. In those moments, remind me of your example, how you chose humility when pride would have been easier, how you chose compassion when anger was justified. Let my actions echo that same love. Make obedience my joy, not my burden. Father, help me trust that the unseen work still matters. The prayer whispered in traffic, the kindness extended in fatigue, the patience practiced when misunderstood. These things build the invisible kingdom. They are the quiet bricks that form a life anchored in purpose. Even if no one notices, even if results are slow, keep me faithful. Let perseverance be stronger than doubt, and gratitude louder than complaint. As sunlight reaches the corners of my home, I feel its warmth as a reminder that no effort remains hidden. The same light that brightens rooftops also touches the smallest seed, pushing through soil. You see growth where I see only waiting. You see purpose where I see repetition. Help me to live this day with steady faith, to rise, to serve, to love, and to trust that obedience, however ordinary, carries divine meaning. Let courage find me not in extraordinary moments, but in every quiet choice that honors you. Lord, as the sun climbs higher and the sounds of the world begin to stir, I feel the subtle return of a familiar presence, fear. Dressed in reason, disguised as caution, it creeps softly, whispering stories of what could go wrong, reminding me of times I stumbled before. Yet deep within, I know you did not create me to live bound by its voice. You have given me a spirit not of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Still, I find myself reaching for its comfort, as if worrying could somehow prepare me for life. Father, help me recognize the lie that fear pretends to be safety. I remember how quietly it enters a thought, a hesitation, a glance backward at something I cannot change. It tells me to hold back, to protect myself from disappointment, to expect the worst so it will hurt less if it comes. But every time I agree with it, I make my world smaller. Every time I let it guide my steps, I lose sight of the open path you have prepared. Fear teaches avoidance, but faith teaches movement. Today, I choose movement. God, help me to see that courage is not a sudden burst of strength. It is the steady refusal to let fear speak the last word. I no longer want to make silent contracts with worry. I no longer want to shape decisions around what might fail. Let me instead anchor myself and trust the quiet kind that stands even when the wind rises. Replace the trembling in my chest with confidence that you are already ahead of me. You are in the unknown. You are in tomorrow. You are in every place I fear to step. When memories of loss resurface, when old anxieties try to reclaim space, remind me that fear cannot rewrite what you have already redeemed. The past no longer has authority to predict my future. Let your truth stand like a gate before my heart, closing out the voices that say, I am not enough. That danger is everywhere. That joy is too fragile to trust. Teach me to stop rehearsing what might hurt and begin rehearsing what is holy. Lord, I know that fear thrives in darkness, so bring every shadow into your light. Where my imagination has painted pictures of disaster, redraw them with hope. Where I have built walls of protection, turn them into windows that let faith breathe again. Let my thoughts no longer spiral downward, but rise upward, catching glimpses of the horizon you have promised. Help me to speak courage into my own soul. The weapon may form, but it will fail. Let that be the truth I stand upon whenever anxiety begins its familiar song. Father, make me bold enough to live freely. Let me take the risk of kindness, even when rejection is possible. Let me pursue dreams even when failure seems near. Let me love fully, not cautiously, because love cannot coexist with fear. Remind me that peace is not the absence of uncertainty, but the presence of trust within it. I want to wake each morning unguarded, believing that you will meet me in whatever comes. There will be days when fear disguises itself as wisdom, telling me to stay small to stay safe, but true wisdom begins with reverence, not retreat. It is not afraid of what might break, because it knows that even in breaking there is rebuilding. So when I feel hesitation rising, help me ask not, what if I fall? But what if you teach me to fly? Let that question carry me beyond the limits I have placed around myself. I have seen how fear silences voices meant to sing, how it dims gifts meant to shine. I refuse to let it silence mine any longer. You have given me words, ideas, compassion, and strength, all meant to be used, not hidden. Let me step into this day with open hands, ready to create, to speak, to serve, without needing a guarantee of outcome. Teach me to find joy in the attempt itself, knowing that obedience is never wasted. God, when the world's noise grows heavy with warnings and predictions, keep my spirit quiet enough to hear your assurance. Let me remember that I am not alone in any storm. When fear tells me that danger is near, remind me that you are nearer. When it says, I am defenseless, remind me that peace itself is armor. When it insists that I am weak, remind me that your strength begins where mine ends. As I move through this day, let courage not feel like a sudden surge, but a steady rhythm, each step a declaration that I trust you more than the unknown. Let my posture speak faith, even when words falter. Let my decisions show confidence that you are good, no matter the outcome. And when I lie down tonight, let me look back and see that every moment I resisted fear, I found freedom waiting quietly on the other side. The sunlight outside now fills every space, and with it comes an invitation to live unshackled, to breathe deeply, to walk forward without apology. I choose to accept that invitation. I will no longer let fear write my story. My heart belongs to peace, my thoughts to faith, my life to love. Wherever I go today, let courage go with me not as noise or armor, but as the quiet knowing that I am held, I am guided, and I am free. Father, as the day unfolds and light fills the corners of the world, I turn my thoughts toward the space I call home. It is where laughter and worry share the same walls, where love is tested and renewed, where every heartbeat I cherish finds rest. After choosing courage over fear, I now seek your covering, the quiet assurance that you are present in every doorway, every breath, every tender moment that makes a house alive. Lord, I ask you to walk through these rooms with invisible steps, leaving peace where anxiety has lingered. Let your spirit rest upon each threshold like morning dew, soft but steady. Guard the entrances where uncertainty tries to enter. Guard the silence where unspoken tension hides. Let your peace not simply visit but dwell here, a permanent resident that outlasts storms and seasons. You know the rhythm of this place, the clatter of dishes, the hum of conversation, the sigh of exhaustion when day's work is done. Teach me to recognize your presence among these sounds, to see you not as a visitor, but as the heartbeat of the home itself. Let every gesture of care, every shared meal, every quiet evening become sacred in your sight. Father, I bring before you each person who lives beneath this roof or carries its memory. Some are near, some are far. Some are held only in prayer. Wrap them in safety that cannot be shaken. Protect their minds from the noise of the world and their hearts from the weight of despair. Where relationships have strained, send the grace that softens pride and restores warmth. Where fatigue has built walls, replace them with patience and understanding. There are moments when the world outside feels harsh and uncertain, when doors locked at night cannot calm the unease within. But your protection goes deeper than bolts or boundaries. It is not just safety from harm. It is the stillness that comes from knowing that love itself stands guard. Let this home be more than shelter. Let it be a sanctuary of kindness, a resting place for weary hearts who cross its threshold. God, teach me to tend to this home with wisdom. Let order bring peace, not perfectionism. Let generosity rule the table, not worry about what is served. Let conversation be seasoned with grace. not criticism. Help me create an atmosphere where truth can be spoken without fear, where laughter can heal what words cannot. Let this place echo with gratitude more than complaint, and let forgiveness be its familiar language. There will be days when tension rises, when voices clash, when exhaustion dulls love's patience. In those moments, remind me that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of understanding. Help me to speak gently even when I am tired, to listen deeply even when I feel unheard. Replace quick reactions with compassion that steadies before it answers. Let your spirit be the calm between words, the breath that keeps connection alive. Lord, protect not only the people, but the atmosphere here. Keep bitterness from nesting in corners. Keep resentment from lingering in unspoken glances. Chase away every shadow of fear that tries to disguise itself as control. Let the air itself carry grace light enough to ease burdens, strong enough to lift hearts. May each sunrise find this home, standing under the promise of your care, and each night fall close with the confidence that you have watched over every soul within. Father, I also pray for the unseen spaces, the inner rooms of our hearts, where fatigue hides and unspoken worries rest. Enter there gently. Sweep away the clutter of anxiety and regret. Hang light where memories have dimmed. Restore hope where routine has dulled its shine. Let love be the fragrance that moves through these unseen rooms, reminding each of us that we are known, seen, and held. And for the visitors who enter our home, let them feel peace the moment they step inside. Let their spirit sense warmth before a word is spoken. May kindness fill every interaction so fully that even brief encounters carry the echo of comfort long after they leave. Let hospitality be not an effort, but an overflow of your presence here. Lord, protect this place not only from danger, but from indifference. Protect us from the apathy that forgets to say thank you, from the distractions that crowd out affection, from the hurry that steals togetherness. Teach us to pause, to notice one another, to nurture what truly matters. Let love here be slow and deliberate, like sunlight that patiently warms everything it touches. Now, as morning advances into day, I entrust this home once more into your hands. May your peace linger in its walls, your joy fill its air, and your faithfulness mark its foundation. Let every sound, every step, every breath within it be sheltered beneath your protection. And as I step beyond its door to face the world, let the peace that reigns here follow me, steady and unbroken, a living reminder that wherever I go, home begins and ends in you. Father, as the quiet of home settles in my heart, I begin to think of the body, the vessel that carries every breath, every emotion, every act of love. You designed it with intricate care, yet it bears the marks of strain, fatigue, and time. Some mornings, I wake aware of its limits, the stiffness in motion, the ache that hums beneath the surface, the weight of exhaustion that no rest seems to erase. But you, Lord, know this body intimately. You shaped it, sustained it, and have promised not only to guard the soul, but also to renew the flesh that holds it. Lord, come to you not in complaint, but in surrender. My body has served me faithfully, even when I have not treated it kindly. I have pushed it beyond balance, fed it worry instead of rest, and expected it to perform under burdens it was never meant to bear. Forgive me for neglecting the temple that carries your breath. Today, I ask that you restore harmony between my spirit and my body, that I may live in alignment, fully present, fully alive, fully grateful. Teach me to listen to the language of the body, the quiet signals that ask for pause, the tension that warns of unspoken stress, the fatigue that pleads for stillness. Help me not to silence these whispers with distraction, but to respond with care. Let healing begin not as a sudden miracle, but as a steady returning to balance, an inward agreement between mind, soul, and strength. God, I believe that your healing is not limited to what doctors can see or measure. It moves through unseen places, the emotional scars, the memories stored in muscles, the grief hidden in bones. Let your light travel there now, not as fire but as warmth, not as force but as compassion. Let every cell remember that it was created by love, not by fear. Let every heartbeat echo resilience. Let every breath remind me that life itself is evidence of your mercy renewed. Father, I pray for those whose bodies carry pain too heavy for words, for those enduring illness, chronic weakness, or invisible wounds that few understand. Wrap them in strength that surpasses understanding. Let your comfort be tangible, the kind that eases trembling hands, the kind that steadies unsteady steps. Remind them that weakness is not a verdict. It is a doorway through which grace enters. Let them feel dignity even in dependency, peace even in uncertainty. Teach me to bless this body, not curse it, to thank it for every day it carries me through. Let gratitude replace frustration, and care replace shame. When I look at scars or limitations, let me see stories of survival, not evidence of defeat. When I notice aging or imperfection, let me honor them as signs of a journey still unfolding. You have written purpose into every fiber of creation, and this body, fragile yet faithful, is part of that sacred design. Lord, heal not only what is broken, but what is burdened. Lift the weight of anxiety that presses against the chest. Release the shoulders that carry unseen responsibilities. Calm the racing pulse of worry, and let the breath slow until peace settles like soft rain. Teach me that healing is not only the absence of pain, but the presence of wholeness, the kind that brings rest even in imperfection. Father, give me wisdom to care for this gift you have given. Guide my choices with gentleness, not guilt. Let nourishment be an act of love, movement an act of praise, rest an act of trust. Keep me from treating self-care as vanity or neglecting it in the name of duty. You rested on the seventh day to show that even creation itself needs pause. Let me honor that same rhythm without shame. I also bring before you the bodies of those I love, the ones fighting sickness, the ones weary from labor, the ones whose strength is fading. Lay your hand upon them, Lord. Let your presence move through them like a quiet tide that washes away despair. Bless the hands of those who care for the sick, the doctors and nurses, the friends who stay through long nights. Use them as extensions of your compassion, instruments of your healing grace. God, where medicine ends, let faith continue. Where strength fails, let your power sustain. And when recovery is slow or incomplete, let the soul rise stronger even as the body waits. For true healing is not only mended flesh, but renewed trust. Teach me to see health not as perfection restored, but as harmony regained, the heart at peace, the spirit anchored, the body resting in your care. Now, as morning stretches toward midday, I feel the pulse of life steady and sure beneath my skin. The body you formed still answers to your command, still holds the rhythm you began long ago. Every breath is a reminder that I am still part of your ongoing creation, still invited to move, to feel, to serve. Let this awareness follow me through every action today. Let gratitude fill each step, strength return with each inhale, and faith remain the medicine that no wound can resist. And when weariness comes again, as it will, remind me that you are not only the healer of bodies, but the keeper of endurance. You are in the quiet between heartbeats, in the pause before renewal, in the unseen work of restoration that never stops. Let my trust in that truth be deeper than pain, steadier than doubt, and strong enough to carry me through every moment I draw breath. Father, as the warmth of light begins to fill the sky, I thank you for the quiet renewal that comes after the body finds its rest. Healing has touched the places unseen, and now my thoughts awaken to another calling to live this day with a sound mind. The body may move with strength, but it is the mind that directs its course. I bring it to you, Lord, not as something broken, but as something in need of shaping. A garden that must be tended daily so peace can grow instead of weeds of worry. God, you know how swiftly my mind can wander, how easily it leaps from gratitude to anxiety, from trust to doubt. It holds memories like fragile glass and future fears like heavy stones. I ask you now to renew it, to bring stillness where chaos has lived too long. Let the morning calm I feel not end at sunrise, but carry through each hour, anchoring me when distraction comes. I do not want to live reacting to every noise. I want to live responding to your voice. Teach me the balance between awareness and peace. The world demands alertness, yet you invite rest. The mind often mistakes business for importance, but wisdom moves slowly, thoughtfully. Let my thoughts not race ahead of grace. Instead, may they flow at the pace of purpose, the quiet rhythm that follows love instead of fear. Help me to think with clarity, to discern truth from noise, and to choose what deserves my attention, rather than surrendering it to everything that shouts loudest. Lord, I confess how often my thoughts turn against me. They replay old conversations, amplify imagined criticism, and twist silence into rejection. Yet you have not given me a spirit of confusion, but of calm discipline. Replace the endless echoes of self-doubt with the assurance that I am held, that I am capable, that I am known. Let my inner dialogue be kind, truthful, and rooted in grace. When negative thoughts rise like waves, teach me to meet them with stillness, not struggle to let them pass without drowning in their noise. Father, I ask for the gift of emotional steadiness today. When disappointment brushes near, let me not sink into despair. When success comes, let humility keep me grounded. When uncertainty knocks, let wisdom open the door instead of panic. A sound mind is not a silent one. It is a mind ruled by peace even while thoughts continue to move. Let that be the atmosphere within me. Peace as the air, gratitude as the sunlight, love as the foundation. Help me to notice when my mind grows weary. Sometimes fatigue disguises itself as failure, and distraction poses as apathy. In those moments, draw me back to you, not with rebuke, but with rest. Remind me that mental stillness is not weakness, but strength reclaimed. Let my inner world become a reflection of your order, calm, creative, and filled with quiet confidence. God, protect me from the voices that drain joy and plant fear. Let me discern which voices are yours and which belong to shadows. Teach me to recognize when thoughts are lies disguised as logic, when self-criticism wears the mask of humility. I do not want to think smaller than your promises. Let my reasoning be guided by truth, my imagination filled with light, my reflection shaped by mercy. Father, fill my mind with words that heal. Let gratitude rewrite the patterns that anxiety once claimed. Let compassion color every judgment. Let curiosity replace cynicism. I want to think with wonder again, to see each detail of life as evidence of grace. A sound mind is not merely logical. It is open to beauty, awake to kindness, aware that holiness can live in ordinary thought. When I engage with others today, let my thoughts prepare peace before my words are spoken. Let me listen deeply, without assumption. Let me hold opinions with humility, knowing that I do not see all ends. Teach me to slow down before reacting, to measure my speech through the filter of empathy. A calm mind makes space for love to enter. I want that space to widen within me. There will be moments today when my thoughts drift toward worry again. When that happens, Lord, bring me back gently. Let me breathe and remember that peace is not a reward earned, but a gift accepted. I do not have to fight for it. I only have to allow it. Help me to surrender control over what I cannot change, and to focus on what I can nurture: the intentions of my heart, the tone of my words, the posture of my soul. As daylight fully settles over the earth, I feel clarity unfolding within me like light over water. The noise of early morning begins to fade into rhythm, and my mind, once restless, finds its center in you. I no longer chase answers. I rest in understanding that some answers come slowly, shaped by time and trust. Let my thoughts today move in harmony with love, steady, compassionate, discerning. Lord, may this renewed mind become a channel of peace wherever I go. Let it create rather than criticize, comfort rather than control, bless rather than burden. Let every idea born today serve the good of others and reflect the calm that comes from walking close to you. And when evening comes again, let my mind be tired not from worry but from wonder, satisfied that it has dwelled all day in truth, balance, and the stillness of your presence. Father, as my mind settles into balance and peace, another truth rises quietly within me. You are not only the keeper of my soul, but also the provider of my needs. Each morning, I wake between trust and tension, between gratitude for what I have and anxiety about what might run out. The world teaches scarcity, but you whisper abundance. I have lived too long as if survival depends on my grasp, forgetting that your open hand sustains the universe. Today, Lord, I want to live differently. I want to believe that provision does not require panic. God, you know the shape of every worry that sits beneath the surface. The bills waiting to be paid, the responsibilities that stretch beyond my strength, the quiet fear that my efforts might never be enough. You know the hidden calculations I make, how I measure time, resources, and energy, as if I were alone in holding it all together. Yet again and again, you have proven that your faithfulness outruns my fear. The birds have no budgets, and still they sing. The lilies own no wealth, and still they shine. You take care of them, and you will take care of me. Father, teach me to trust provision as a daily rhythm, not a distant reward. Like manna in the wilderness, it comes fresh each morning, just enough for today, never too late, never too little. Help me to let go of the impulse to store fear for tomorrow. You have not asked me to carry the future. You have asked me to walk faithfully through the present. Let me breathe deeply in that truth. Let gratitude replace striving. Let peace take the place of pressure. When scarcity whispers its warnings, help me answer with remembrance. I remember the times you opened doors no one could see, when unexpected kindness arrived just as I reached the edge. I remember the meals that stretched further than logic, the opportunities that came disguised as disappointments, the strength that found me after I thought I was finished. These memories are not luck, they are testimony. You have provided before, and you will not stop now. Lord, deliver me from the illusion of control. I plan, I prepare, I work, but it is you who breathes fruitfulness into my efforts. Without your blessing, labor becomes weariness. With it, even the smallest task multiplies. Help me to work diligently but without despair, to move forward but not in frenzy. Let me live not as a slave to outcomes, but as a steward of faithfulness. I cannot create abundance, but I can create trust. God, teach me to recognize provision in all its forms. Sometimes it looks like opportunity. Sometimes it looks like delay. Sometimes it is found in resources. Other times, in resilience. Let me not miss the miracle because it does not match my expectation. Even the waiting can feed me if I allow it to shape patience. Let me see that you provide not only what sustains my body, but what strengthens my soul. Every unmet desire, every unanswered prayer, carries the potential to deepen dependence on you. Father, I confess that fear of lack often makes me cling tighter to what I have, closing my hand when you call me to open it. Yet generosity is the doorway through which provision multiplies. When I release what I hold, I make space for blessing to move. So today, I choose to live open-handed. I will not fear giving, whether it be money, time, forgiveness, or compassion. Everything I share returns in ways that cannot be measured by numbers. Make me a vessel, not a vault, one through whom your goodness flows freely. When I see others in need, remind me that I am part of the answer to their prayer. Let empathy guide my actions, not pity or pride. Help me to give quietly, without seeking recognition. Let generosity be woven into my ordinary routine, the natural reflex of a heart that trusts its source. If I give and fear follows, Silence that fear with the truth that I can never outgive the one who gave me life. Lord, I ask you to bless the work of my hands today. Let creativity flow where exhaustion once lived. Let wisdom guide every decision that touches provision, how I spend, save, and serve. Remove the anxiety that attaches to money and replace it with stewardship rooted in peace. Let my finances, my resources, and my opportunities align with integrity and purpose. I want to use what I have not as armor against fear, but as an offering of faith. As I step into this day, I release the tightness around my heart that worries about what if. You already stand in every tomorrow I fear. You already know what I will need before the need arrives. So let me move gently through today, alert but unafraid, responsible but not restless. Let joy return to the simple things: a shared meal, a completed task, a quiet moment of contentment. These are the proofs of provision too often overlooked. Father, let peace become the currency of my day. Where the world measures worth in possessions, let me measure it in trust. Where others hoard to feel safe, let me give to feel alive. Teach me that enough is not a number, it is a posture. Enough is the steady heartbeat of a soul that knows you are near. Let that truth settle into my bones until worry loses its language and faith speaks instead. Now, as morning moves toward noon, I lift my eyes again to the open sky. Clouds drift across the light, reminding me that even the sun is sometimes hidden yet never gone. So it is with your care. Even when I cannot see, I will still believe. My needs are known, my future is held, and my heart calm and quiet rests in the assurance that provision is not something I must chase. It is something I wake into each new day, as faithful and certain as the dawn itself. Father, as the light of day strengthens, and I feel your steady provision around me, my heart turns toward another kind of need, the need for restoration, where relationships have cracked and hearts have drifted apart. Provision does not end with food, shelter, or peace of mind. It extends into connection, into the unseen bridges between souls that sustain our deepest sense of belonging. Where there has been distance, misunderstanding, or silence, I bring it to you now. I bring every name, every memory, every conversation that ended too soon or too sharply, and I ask you to begin the mending. Lord, you know the tenderness of these wounds. Some are small but sting like paper cuts, forgotten by others but not by me. Others run deep, years old, layered with pride, fear, and regret. I have tried to move on, to bury the H beneath business. But still, it finds its way to the surface. It shows up in quiet moments, in hesitation when kindness would have been easy, in guardedness where love once flowed freely. Teach me to stop hiding from the work of reconciliation. Help me to remember that healing relationships is not weakness, it is courage shaped by grace. God, I confess that forgiveness often feels unnatural. My heart wants fairness, resolution, explanation. Yet you remind me that forgiveness is not agreement with what was done. It is freedom from what was left undone. It releases me from bitterness that corrodes peace. It makes room for new beginnings where resentment has long occupied space. You do not demand perfection in my attempts to forgive. You only ask that I try, that I choose mercy even when emotion lags behind. Let that trying be enough for now, and let sincerity do the rest. Father, show me where I have contributed to fracture. Reveal the words I spoke too quickly, the judgments I made too easily, the moments I withheld love out of fear of rejection. Humility is painful, but it is also holy. Teach me to apologize not as a transaction, but as a seed to plant something living in the soil of hurt, and trust you to grow it in time. I cannot control another's response, but I can control my posture. Let it always lean toward peace for those who have wronged me and are unaware. Help me to release them without resentment. I do not want my joy to depend on another's remorse. Let your justice, not my pride, hold what is unresolved, where reconciliation is impossible because hearts are still hardened or distance too great. Bring closure through acceptance, not anger. Remind me that peace does not require every wound to be reopened. Sometimes it means blessing from afar. Lord, I pray also for the relationships still within reach, the family I see daily, but sometimes take for granted, the friends whose calls I postpone, the colleagues I misunderstand. Help me to show up fully in these connections. Not distracted, not defensive, but present. Let me listen with patience, speak with gentleness, and hold space for others' imperfections as you hold space for mine. Make my words instruments of repair, not reaction. Let empathy become my reflex, not my effort. When tension rises, when misunderstandings threaten to spiral, let wisdom step in before pride takes over. Remind me that silence, when guided by peace, can protect what anger would destroy. Give me the maturity to pause rather than prove, to seek understanding rather than victory. Relationships are not battles to win, but sacred gardens to tend. I want to be a keeper of those gardens, nurturing trust with consistency and kindness. Father, there are wounds in others I cannot see, but my compassion can still touch. Let my kindness today fall like gentle rain on hearts parched by harshness. A soft word, a patient tone, a simple gesture, these can be healing even when unnoticed. Let me never underestimate the quiet power of mercy. It is often in small acts that great healing begins. And for the places where reconciliation seems humanly impossible, where betrayal or distance has woven thick walls, I surrender the outcome to you. Work where my efforts end. Soften hearts in ways only you can. Where time has deepened the divide, let your grace bridge it slowly, even if I never see the reunion in this life. Let my willingness be counted as part of the healing. Peace sometimes happens unseen, like roots mending beneath the soil. Lord, remind me that forgiveness does not erase memory. It transforms it. The pain once sharp becomes gentle wisdom. The lesson once heavy becomes a map for compassion. Let the history of hurt become holy ground where I learn to walk softer. Speak kinder and love with greater awareness. Teach me to bless the past, not because it was easy, but because it was shaping something within me that only grace could finish. As the morning stretches further, I feel the calm that follows release. The tension I carried loosens its grip, replaced by quiet gratitude. I see now that reconciliation is not a single act, but a way of living, choosing again and again to keep my heart open, even when it risks being hurt. This is the courage of love, the reflection of the cross in everyday life. Let that courage mark every encounter today. Father, as I move into the hours ahead, let peace travel before me like a soft wind. Let it fill the spaces between me and others until understanding replaces offense, kindness replaces distance, and compassion replaces pride. Where I walk, let reconciliation follow. Where I speak, let healing linger. And where I love, let walls crumble into bridges strong enough for both grace and truth to cross. Father, as peace begins to settle after the mending of broken ties, I feel the gentle weight of what comes next, the courage to love again. Healing brings release, but love demands re-entry. It asks that I open the same heart that once ached, trust again the same hands that once trembled, believe again in the goodness that pain once tried to steal. This is where faith becomes flesh, where grace moves from prayer into practice. I come to you now not asking for safety, but for strength, the kind that dares to love without armor. Lord, you know how carefully I have guarded myself. The walls I built in the name of wisdom became prisons I did not mean to live inside. Fear disguised itself as discernment, and I convinced myself that distance was peace. Yet in this quiet moment, I realized that protection without openness, emptiness is stressed as strength. I was made for connection, not caution. I was created in the image of love itself, not in the shadow of what love once broke. Teach me how to love boldly again, but wisely rooted in truth, not fear. God, help me to remember that love is not weakness. It is the greatest act of faith. To love is to trust that goodness still outweighs risk, that the heart you gave me was designed to expand, not collapse. I want to love without calculation, to give without keeping score, to listen without preparing defense, to see people through the lens of grace rather than the memory of disappointment. Let my affection be patient and deliberate, shaped not by need but by understanding. Father, when I hesitate to love because I fear rejection, remind me that you too are often rejected. And still, you keep loving. When I hesitate because of betrayal, remind me that you forgive daily those who betray trust, yet return in repentance. You love not because it is deserved, but because it is who you are. Make that same spirit rise in me, not as imitation, but as reflection. I cannot match your perfection, but I can carry your compassion into my human attempts. Lord, show me that love can exist even in boundaries. Teach me that saying no can sometimes be the most faithful expression of care. Love is not indulgence. It is stewardship. It honors both giver and receiver. Let me love with integrity, not dependence, with clarity, not confusion. And when my love is misunderstood or dismissed, let me rest in the truth that nothing offered sincerely is ever wasted in your sight. Every act of love, even unreturned, leaves light behind. There are memories that still stir unease, the moments when I gave too much, trusted too quickly, or stayed too long. I bring them to you not as evidence of failure, but as lessons wrapped in mercy. Teach me to bless my younger self for trying, for hoping, for daring. Let me not despise the parts of me that still long for closeness. Desire itself is not weakness. It is the echo of the divine design to know and be known. Purify that longing, Lord, so it points not to dependency, but to shared humanity. Father, restore in me the gentleness that fear once hardened. Let tenderness no longer feel dangerous, but sacred. Help me see that to love deeply is not to risk loss, but participate in eternity, because every genuine act of care mirrors you, who are endless love. Let me not confuse apathy for peace, detachment for healing. True healing makes the heart softer, not smaller. Let that softness return when I encounter those difficult to love, the rude, the indifferent, the wounded who wound others. Remind me that compassion does not mean approval, but understanding. Help me to look beyond behavior to pain, beyond words to fear. Let love disarm me of judgment, while still giving me wisdom to discern what is healthy. Teach me that mercy is not blindness, but courage, the courage to see humanity even where it hides. Lord, I want to love not only those who are easy to love, but those who remind me of who I used to be, the uncertain, the defensive, the lonely pretending to be strong. Let me extend to them what I wish someone had offered me. Presence without pressure, kindness without condition, love that simply stays. In that staying, let transformation quietly begin. There will be moments when my heart grows weary, when giving feels like depletion rather than joy. In those moments, refill me with your strength. Remind me that love is not a finite resource, but a current that flows from you through me. The more I pour out, the more room there is for you to fill. Keep me from loving out of obligation. Let love be the overflow of a heart anchored in peace. As the morning matures into full day, the light feels different, warmer, steadier, like the reflection of what love renewed looks like. I sense that healing is not complete until love returns. And today, I take that step. I will love gently, not fearfully. I will give without expectation, forgive without exhaustion, and trust without demanding guarantees. The past has shaped me, but it will not define my capacity for affection. Father, let love today be both shield and song. Let it move through me with grace, strong enough to withstand disappointment and tender enough to reach the unreachable. Make my presence a reminder that love is still possible, still powerful, still worth choosing again and again. And as I walk through this day, let the world see not my guardedness, but the quiet radiance of a heart that dares to love, still and always. Father, after learning again how to love with courage, I find myself drawn into a quieter, harder lesson: the grace of waiting. Love teaches movement, but waiting teaches trust. I see now that the heart's greatest strength is not in its ability to act, but in its ability to remain still without losing hope. Waiting is not emptiness, it is faith stretched across time. And though it often feels like silence, it is the sacred space where you are still speaking beneath the noise of my impatience. Lord, you know how difficult this is for me. My nature craves resolution. My mind searches for signs. My heart grows restless in delay. Yet every season of waiting you have ever allowed has carried hidden purpose. I remember times when what felt like postponement was actually protection. When what I thought was unanswered prayer was your mercy giving me time to grow. Waiting is not punishment, it is preparation. But in the moment, I forget this truth, and I ask again for the grace to remember. God, teach me to wait without panic, to rest without assumption. Let my waiting not be filled with worry, but with worship. Let me resist the urge to fill the silence with noise, to manufacture progress when you are cultivating patience. Sometimes, what I call delay is simply your timing aligning things I cannot see. The seed never accuses the soil of slowness. It trusts that darkness precedes growth. Help me to live like that, to trust that even when nothing seems to move, something holy is taking root beneath the surface. Father, when impatience rises, remind me that every unanswered question is an invitation to lean closer, not turn away. Waiting is not the absence of your presence. It is the deepening of it. It trains my spirit to hear subtler whispers, to find comfort not in outcomes, but in companionship. When I can no longer see the way forward, let me rest in the assurance that you are still guiding the unseen path ahead. There are promises I carry that seem long, delayed, dreams that flicker, prayers that echo, hopes that have learned to whisper instead of shout. You know them all, Lord. You know the quiet H that comes with faith unfulfilled, but you also know what I cannot, the timing that turns desire into destiny. Help me not to rush the unfolding, not to mistake movement for progress, nor slowness for neglect. Your timing is not mine, but it is never wrong. Waiting reveals what I truly believe. It strips away illusion and exposes trust. It shows whether I love you for what you give or for who you are. When days feel repetitive and prayers feel unanswered, remind me that you are not withholding. You are weaving. Every pause, every detour, every delay is a thread in a tapestry that will make sense only when I see it whole. Teach me to live in peace with the unfinished. Lord, help me wait well, not passively, but attentively. Waiting well means keeping the lamp lit, even when the night stretches long. It means preparing for rain while the sky is still clear, trusting that faith acts before sight confirms. Let my waiting be active in kindness, productive in love, and anchored in praise. Let me continue to serve, to create, to encourage others, even when my own answers have not yet arrived. Waiting is not wasting when it is filled with purpose. There are moments when I envy those whose prayers seem swiftly answered, whose paths unfold with clarity while mine still wins through shadow. Guard me from comparison, Lord. Each journey carries its own rhythm, each heart its own timing. What you delay in one season, you accelerate in another. Help me to bless the pace of others without doubting my own. Gratitude grows when I stop measuring my story against theirs. Father, when hope feels fragile, remind me of the times you have come through at the last possible moment, not early, but never late. The night before the breakthrough is always the darkest. Yet even then, you were near. You are teaching me that hope is not a feeling, but a choice renewed daily. Is the decision to believe, even without evidence. Waiting stretches that belief until it becomes endurance. and endurance becomes faith matured. Sometimes, Lord, I fear that waiting means forgotten. Yet even as I whisper this fear, I remember that you never overlook, never abandon. You are not still because you are absent. You are still because you are patient. You see the full horizon, and you love me too much to let me settle for less than what is ready. Teach me to trust your slowness as deeply as I trust your strength. Let the quiet in between become sacred ground, not wasted time. And while I wait, help me see the gifts already present, the small evidences of your faithfulness that often go unnoticed, the breath that still fills my lungs, the kindness of a stranger, the peace that slips in uninvited. These are not placeholders. They are proofs. Life does not pause while waiting. It continues to bloom in unexpected places. Let my eyes remain open to these living reminders that you are here. Still active. Still good. Now, as the day continues its slow unfolding, I sense that waiting is less about patience and more about posture, the posture of a heart surrendered, open, and unhurried. Waiting becomes worship when I learn to rest without demanding answers. It becomes trust when I find peace in the process itself. So today, Father, I will breathe deeply, walk slowly, and hold hope gently. Whatever is still forming, I place it back into your hands, believing that when the time is right, the promise will rise not by force, but by grace. Father, after learning the grace of waiting, I begin to see that what once felt like stillness was not silence at all. It was your way of preparing joy in secret. Waiting is the soil, but joy is the bloom that emerges when trust has taken root. You have been teaching me that happiness that depends on circumstances is fragile, but joy that grows from faith is unshakable. I bring my heart before you now, ready to understand this deeper kind of gladness, the kind that lives quietly beneath both laughter and tears. Lord, the world tells me that joy must be earned, that it comes after success, after resolution, after everything falls into place. But you have shown me something gentler. Joy does not wait for perfection. It rises in the middle of imperfection, like light finding its way through cracks. I see it now in the smallest things, the breath I draw without effort, the kindness of a stranger, the quiet rhythm of morning itself. Each is a whisper reminding me that life is still sacred even when it feels incomplete. God, I want to live with eyes open to this kind of joy, not the fleeting rush that fades, but the steady glow that remains. Let me not confuse joy with excitement. Excitement burns quickly, but joy endures. It is the deep calm that remains when the storm has not yet ended. The smile that persists though tears are still near. This joy is not denial of pain. It is defiance against despair. It says, even here, even now, something good is still growing. Teach me to carry that truth through every hour of the day. Father, some seasons feel hidden, times when progress is invisible, when the work of the heart happens beneath the surface. In those moments, joy is not loud. It is quiet endurance. It is the confidence that unseen growth is still growth, just as roots deepen long before fruit appears. My soul learns strength in silence. Let me not despise the hidden seasons. They are not delays. They are design. You are shaping something in me that cannot be rushed. Let that understanding bring joy instead of restlessness. There are days when I feel ordinary, unnoticed, moving through routines that seem to blend together. Yet even there, joy waits. It hides in the simplicity of small things done with love, in washing dishes with gratitude, in offering a word of kindness, in noticing sunlight spilling across the floor. Teach me to see that holiness is not always spectacular. Sometimes it is simply paying attention. Sometimes joy is found not in achieving something new, but in finally recognizing the beauty that was always there. Lord, protect me from the illusion that joy is a reward for those who have no struggles. True joy often grows alongside sorrow. It lives in hearts that have learned to endure loss without losing wonder. It knows how to weep without bitterness, how to celebrate even when nothing has changed. Let me become that kind of person, one who does not wait for joy, but carries it as a lantern through every valley. When others see me, let them not see avoidance of pain, but the quiet testimony of peace that refuses to die. Father, when my spirit grows weary and laughter feels far away, remind me that joy is not an emotion to chase, but a gift to receive. It arrives not because life is easy, but because grace is present. It is not the absence of sorrow, but the presence of you. Your joy does not demand that I pretend. It simply asks that I trust. Even when I cannot rejoice in the circumstance, I can rejoice in the constancy of your love. That truth alone is enough to make the heart sing softly again. God, let joy be strength, not distraction. Let it anchor me, not lift me away from reality. Make it resilient, not fragile, able to withstand disappointment and yet remain kind. I want joy that does not depend on what I hold, but on what holds me. Let that joy flow into every word I speak, every decision I make, every act of care I offer. Let it become the tone of my presence, the warmth others feel without needing explanation. As I think back on the hidden seasons, you have walked me through the waiting, the mending, the healing. I realize joy was never absent. It was simply quiet, patient, waiting to be recognized. Every lesson, every delay, every answered or unanswered prayer has been stitched with traces of your goodness. Even in sorrow, there were moments of laughter. Even in uncertainty, there were glimpses of peace. That is joy's secret. It lives everywhere grace has touched. Father, I no longer ask for a life free from struggle. I ask for joy that transforms it. I no longer ask for endless sunshine. I ask for light that glows even beneath clouds. Let this joy be steady enough to share, deep enough to heal, wide enough to hold the world without fear. Let it guide me through today's hours with a soft and confident heart, reminding me that no moment is wasted when seen through gratitude. And now, as morning turns toward afternoon, I feel the gentle pulse of joy rising quietly within. It is not loud, not demanding, just steady. Like the heartbeat of faith itself, I carry it with me, not as proof that everything is perfect, but as a promise that everything is purposeful. Wherever this day leads, let joy walk beside me unhurried, unshaken, hidden yet alive, reminding me that in every unseen season, you are near, and that is enough. Father, the quiet joy of hidden seasons still lingers in my heart. Yet as I step further into the rhythm of the day, I am reminded that the world beyond still trembles with noise. It is easy to feel peace in stillness, but harder to carry it into the storm. The streets hum with urgency, messages demand replies, and the mind, once calm, begins to stir again. I feel the pull between heaven and hurry, between the serenity of prayer and the chaos of life. And so, Lord, I come again not asking that you silence the world, but that you steady me within it. Lord, you know how easily my peace unravels. It slips through fingers the moment I hear a harsh word, see injustice, or face a problem without a solution. Yet you did not promise a life without turbulence. You promised a peace that surpasses understanding. It is not found in control, but in surrender. Not in the world's stillness, but in yours. Teach me to anchor my heart in that promise so deeply that no circumstance can uproot it. Let me become still inside, even when everything outside is moving too fast. God, I admit that chaos frightens me. It makes me feel small, uncertain, powerless. My thoughts scatter like leaves in the wind, chasing order but finding only exhaustion. I try to fix what is beyond me, to solve what belongs to you, and in that striving, I lose the very calm I seek. Help me to release the illusion of control, to stop wrestling with the wind, and instead learn to stand firm in faith. You are not absent in chaos. You are the calm within it. Father, when the world feels overwhelming, draw my attention back to what is true. Let me notice the constants, the breath in my lungs, the ground beneath my feet, the quiet assurance that you are near. Remind me that peace is not something I have to create. It already exists where you dwell. My task is only to align with it, to quiet my soul until it hears again the whisper of eternity saying, "Be still." Sometimes the chaos is not outside but within. It lives in the tangled thoughts, the unresolved worries, the questions that circle without rest. Lord, meet me there. Untie the knots of anxiety one by one. Replace the noise of self-doubt with the melody of trust. Let every anxious thought find its answer in your presence. You do not rush me. You do not pressure me to perform. You simply invite me to rest. Teach me to find holy pauses throughout the day, the small moments that return me to awareness of you. A slow breath before I respond, a glance at the sky before I make a decision, a brief silence before I speak in anger. These pauses are sacred. They are doorways back to peace. Help me to step through them often, to live this day not in reaction, but in rhythm with your stillness. Lord, grant me the wisdom to protect my peace without hardening my heart. The world's chaos will always demand attention, but I can choose how I meet it. Let compassion, not frustration, guide me when others are restless. Let patience, not pride, lead me when plans fall apart. Let gentleness, not fear, shape my presence. True peace does not isolate, it radiates. Let mine be contagious, calming others simply by existing. There will be days when storms rise, suddenly news that shakes the heart. Losses that leave silence where laughter once lived. In those moments, Remind me that peace is not the denial of pain, but the awareness that pain is not the end. You have already walked through every darkness. Nothing surprises you. Let truth settle over me like a soft cloak. I may not control the winds, but I can rest in the one who commands them. Father, let peace become more than a feeling. Let it be my posture. When others bring tension, let me bring gentleness. When the world demands urgency, let me respond with patience. When confusion clouds the mind, let clarity rise through quiet faith. I do not ask for an easier path. I ask for a calmer spirit. Let me live so deeply rooted in you that chaos becomes the place where peace proves itself real. God, help me to recognize that chaos can be a teacher too. It reveals where I still cling, where I still fear, where trust still wavers. Use it not to crush me, but to carve me into someone unshaken. Just as rough waters smooth the stone, let every wave refine my faith until I reflect your calm completely. As the day unfolds, the noise around me may grow, but inside, let the stillness deepen. Let every demand find me already centered, every storm find me already grounded. The world will continue to spin, but my soul need not spin with it. Teach me to move at the pace of peace, to walk through commotion with composure, to work diligently without letting hurry steal hollowness. Now, as the sun climbs higher and the city's pulse quickens, I breathe again into your rhythm. Peace does not flee with the morning, it grows with awareness. It expands with trust. It remains even in motion. Wherever I go today through noise, through schedules, through the unpredictable swirl of life, let my heart stay anchored. Let it remember that true calm is not the absence of chaos, but the unwavering presence of you within it. Father, the peace that you have taught me to carry through the noise still hums quietly within me. It steadies my hands, slows my breathing, and whispers that I am not alone. Yet even as I rest in that calm, I know that the day will not remain gentle. Life will ask for movement, for effort, for courage. The journey continues, and peace must now become strength. I ask you to transform the stillness within me into resolve, not hard, not hurried, but steady and enduring. Lord, I know that strength is not merely the power to push forward. It is the grace to persevere with purpose. It is the courage to walk when the path is unclear, to stay faithful when results are slow, to keep showing up when enthusiasm fades. You never promised that the road would be easy, but you did promise that your presence would never leave me. That is the strength I need, the quiet assurance I do not walk alone, even when no one else sees the road I take. God, sometimes the journey feels longer than expected. The dreams once bright grow dim in the waiting, and hope feels heavier to carry. My shoulders tire beneath unseen weight's responsibility. Worry, expectation. Yet I remember that even you, Lord, paused under the burden of the cross. And still, you rose to finish the way set before you. If you could endure, so can I, not because I am strong, but because your strength flows through my weakness. Remind me that surrender does not mean giving up. It means letting you lift what I cannot carry. Father, give me strength that begins not in the body, but in the soul. Let it rise from faith, not pride from trust. Not striving. Teach me to pace myself in grace, to rest without guilt, to move without fear. The world glorifies relentless progress, but you honor faithful endurance. Help me remember that each small act of obedience, each step taken with integrity, is of a victory in your eyes. Strength is not in doing more, but in remaining steadfast when it would be easier to drift. When fatigue whispers that I am finished, breathe new energy into me. Let encouragement come through unexpected sources, a kind word, a remembered promise, a glimpse of beauty in the middle of ordinary hours. You have a way of renewing the weary without spectacle, of restoring through quiet rather than noise. I ask for that renewal today, Lord, not as adrenaline, but as assurance, not as rush, but as rest within motion. There will be moments, I know, when the path ahead bends sharply, when detours appear and plans unravel. In those moments, give me strength not to demand understanding, but to continue walking. Let faith become my compass when sight fails, when doors close. Let me knock once more without resentment. When opportunity pauses, let me wait without despair. I do not need to know where every turn leads. I only need to know that you are there at each one. Father, help me to measure progress by faithfulness, not speed. The world will tell me that success is visible, that strength must be loud, but the truest strength is quiet. It bends, but does not break. It stands, but does not boast. Teach me to stand like that. When criticism comes, let humility shield me. When praise comes, let gratitude keep me grounded. Let my resilience speak softly of your grace, not my glory. Lord, I also ask for strength not only to endure, but to lift others along the way. There are people whose burdens are heavier than mine, whose hope is flickering. Let my steadiness become their encouragement. Make me generous with comfort, patient with weakness, kind with correction. Strength was never meant to isolate. It was meant to serve. Let mine be a strength that gives, not guards, a strength that builds bridges, not walls. There will be days when I will want to quit, when weariness will disguise itself as wisdom and tell me to settle. Guard me from that voice. Let perseverance rise higher than resignation. Let me look back not with regret, but with reverence for how far grace has carried me. Every difficulty overcome, every challenge faced with faith, becomes a stone in the path of purpose. Even my stumbles are sacred if they lead me closer to you. God, remind me that strength does not mean the absence of vulnerability. Even as I move forward, allow me to stay tender, to cry without shame, to ask for help without pride, to rest without fear of falling behind. Let my strength be human, yet held by the divine. Make it flexible, not brittle, able to adapt, to bend, to heal. The journey ahead will test me, but it will also transform me. Let each trial refine rather than harden, deepen rather than diminish. Now, as morning stretches toward its full brightness, I feel your quiet empowerment growing within. It is not a roar, but a pulse, a steady rhythm reminding me that I am equipped for whatever awaits. Strength does not arrive all at once. It builds with every act of trust. So today, I will rise again, not because the road is easy, but because you walk it with me. Let my steps be sure, my heart steadfast, and my spirit unbroken. And as I move forward into the unknown, let me remember this simple truth. Strength is not the absence of struggle, but the persistence of faith. It is the calm within the motion, the whisper within the wind, the power to continue when stopping would be easier. With that truth alive in me, Father, I take the next step steady, grateful, and unafraid, trusting that the same grace that began this journey will carry it to its end. Father, as strength settles into my spirit and steadiness fills my steps, I know that endurance alone is not enough for the journey ahead. Strength moves the body forward, but wisdom directs the way. Without it, I could walk far but end up lost. I could labor hard but miss what matters. So now, in the quiet of this morning, I ask not just for energy to keep going, but for insight to know where and how to go. Let my strength be guided by understanding, my decisions shaped by discernment, my heart led not by impulse but by your truth. Lord, you know how often I rush ahead, mistaking activity for purpose. I fill my days with effort, yet sometimes I find myself circling the same ground. I chase solutions that crumble, pursue desires that fade, and call it progress when it is merely motion. Slow me down long enough to listen. Teach me that wisdom often whispers rather than shouts, that it is found in stillness before action. Let my thoughts align with clarity before my feet take another step. God, I realize that wisdom is not simply knowing what is right, it is knowing when and how to act upon it. It is patience married to understanding, timing wrapped in humility. You have taught me that a right thing at the wrong time can still break peace, and a small act done with grace can accomplish more than grand gestures done in pride. Let me discern the difference. Let me not be guided by pressure or approval, but by purpose and truth. Father, I ask you to refine my perception. Help me to see beneath surfaces, to look past appearances, words, and impressions to the heart of things. The world trains eyes to judge quickly, but you see differently. You see motives, wounds, potential. Teach me to see like that. Let me look at others with empathy rather than assumption, to recognize that every person carries a story deeper than their expression. True wisdom is not about being right. It is about being kind without being blind. When I face decisions too complex for reason alone, give me spiritual clarity. Let intuition born of peace outweigh the noise of doubt. Show me how to pause before choosing, how to wait before reacting, how to ask for guidance before assuming I understand. The answers I seek do not always arrive through logic. Sometimes they unfold through surrender. Teach me to recognize your voice in the calm that follows obedience. Lord, I confess that I often equate wisdom with certainty, yet you have shown me that true wisdom is comfortable with mystery. It accepts that not everything can be explained, that faith sometimes walks hand in hand with questions. Wisdom does not need to know all, it simply trusts the one who does. Let me rest in that humility, to find peace not in knowing the outcome, but in knowing that you are guiding the process. God, let wisdom dwell not only in my thoughts, but in my speech. Make my words few and meaningful. Let them build, not bruise. Clarify, not confuse. Remind me that silence can often say more than speech, and gentleness can persuade more than force. Let me speak truth softly enough that it can be heard, and firmly enough that it cannot be ignored. May every word that leaves my mouth pass first through the filter of love. There will be times when wisdom demands what comfort resists, to stay when I want to run, to release when I want to cling, to listen when I want to argue. Give me the courage to obey even when the lesson is uncomfortable. Wisdom rarely shouts in triumph. It often sighs in surrender. Yet within that surrender lies freedom, the kind that keeps the heart light and the conscience clear. Let me learn to value that peace more than pride. Father, I also ask for wisdom in recognizing the difference between persistence and stubbornness. Teach me to know when to persevere and when to pivot. Some doors are meant to be knocked upon. Others are meant to be left closed. Let discernment guide me so that I do not waste energy forcing what was never meant for me. At the same time, help me not to give up too soon on what simply requires faith to unfold. Balance my spirit so I neither chase recklessly nor quit prematurely. Lord, grant me the wisdom to handle blessings with humility. Success can tempt the heart as much as failure can humble it. When recognition comes, remind me that it is grace, not entitlement. Let gratitude guard my mind from arrogance, and simplicity keep my soul from drifting into pride. True wisdom does not elevate itself. It lifts others quietly. Let every victory be a reminder that I am a steward of purpose, not the author of it. And when challenges come, as they surely will, let me face them not as interruptions, but as instructions. Let each difficulty become a teacher, each disappointment a mirror, each loss a lesson. The wise do not waste pain, they listen to it. Help me to listen well. Help me to see that even confusion can carry clarity if I approach it with faith instead of frustration. As the morning deepens into the fullness of day, I sense that wisdom is not something acquired once and kept forever. It must be renewed like breath. Every hour holds choices, and every choice holds consequence. So, Father, stay near my thoughts today. Let understanding grow with each moment, and let discernment become instinct. Guide my eyes to what matters, my hands to what heals, and my words to what uplifts. And when evening returns, let me look back and see that wisdom was not proven in how much I knew, but in how well I loved, how gently I acted, and how faithfully I followed the quiet direction of your voice. Then, no matter where this path leads, I will know I have walked in truth, not because I was certain, but because I was guided. Father, as wisdom begins to guide my steps, and I learn to walk more gently through the world, I feel you inviting me into an even higher place of awareness, the place of gratitude. Wisdom teaches discernment, but gratitude gives vision. It changes not what I see, but how I see it. The same sunrise looks different to the heart that is thankful. The same struggle feels lighter to the soul that counts grace instead of grievance. So now, Lord, I pause not to ask for anything, but simply to recognize everything I already have. God, gratitude is not always natural to me. My eyes are quick to notice what is missing. My heart often slow to appreciate what remains. I rush past blessings as if they were ordinary, unaware that each breath, Each friendship, each quiet morning is a miracle I did not earn. Teach me to see abundance not as excess, but as existence itself, to realize that the simple fact of being alive today means that mercy has already been extended. Gratitude begins where entitlement ends. And I want to live there. Father, open my eyes to the quiet gifts that fill every corner of life. The warmth of sunlight that reaches through the window. The laughter that breaks tension. The steady rhythm of a heartbeat. These are sermons without words. Let me not overlook the ordinary while waiting for the extraordinary. Gratitude turns the ordinary sacred. It sanctifies small things, transforming even the dull routines of life into moments of worship. Lord, I want my thankfulness to go deeper than circumstance. Gratitude that depends on comfort is fragile. True gratitude endures through the shadows. Help me to be thankful not only when doors open, but even when they close, because closed doors protect as much as open ones provide. Let me thank you not just for answered prayers, but for the silence that teaches me patience. Let my praise not be reaction, but rhythm steady, continuous, unbroken by disappointment. God, show me how gratitude transforms perception. When I choose to thank you, fear loosens its grip. Anxiety loses power when replaced by appreciation. Even grief begins to soften under the light of remembrance. Gratitude is not pretending pain does not exist. It is acknowledging that love still does. It is the quiet voice that says, yes, this hurts, but I am still held. It shifts the focus from loss to presence, from scarcity to sufficiency, from what is gone to what remains. Father, let thanksgiving fill not only my prayers, but my posture. Let it show in how I speak to others, how I treat the earth, how I respond to inconvenience. Gratitude must be visible, or it is incomplete. Let kindness be my thank you note to the world, patience my response to grace received. When I practice gratitude outwardly, it becomes contagious. It invites others to see the beauty that was already there. There are days, Lord, when gratitude must be chosen against emotion, when weariness dulls my joy, when disappointment clouds perspective. On those days, help me to remember that gratitude is an act of faith. Not feeling. It is not denial. It is declaration. It says that goodness is still present even when the evidence is thin. Gratitude is courage in disguise, the strength to keep believing that light still exists, even when the horizon looks dim. God, I thank you for the unseen ways you sustain me, for protection I did not recognize, for guidance disguised as delay, for correction that shaped my path before I even knew I was wandering. You are generous in silence as much as in action. Gratitude sharpens my memory of your faithfulness. It becomes the lens through which I trace your fingerprints across my story. I see now that not one season has been wasted. Every moment, even the painful ones, has carried an element of grace. Father, I want gratitude to become my language, the first word of my mornings and the last whisper of my nights. Let it rise in me naturally, like breath. When challenges appear, let gratitude speak first. When blessings overflow, let it speak louder. When confusion comes, let it hold steady. The thankful heart does not ignore reality, it redefines it. It turns problems into possibilities, burdens into reminders that I am still growing. Let that perspective become second nature to me. Lord, may I never grow numb to the wonder of simple things. Let me never forget how miraculous it is that the earth spins, that the sun rises, that forgiveness is possible, that love still finds a way to reach broken people. Gratitude thrives in wonder. Wonder keeps the soul young. Let me look at life not as something I am owed, but as something I am entrusted with. When I treat everything as a gift, even responsibility becomes a privilege. There is something sacred, Father, about gratitude that survives hardship. It carries the fragrance of faith. It tells the world that joy is not dependent on outcome, but anchored in relationship with you, with others, with creation itself. A grateful heart is a living testimony that peace and pain can coexist without contradiction. Let me embody that truth to walk in quiet assurance, smiling not because everything is perfect, but because grace has made even imperfection meaningful. As the morning unfolds and the air hums with life, I feel gratitude not as an emotion, but as presence. It steadies my thoughts, lightens my burdens, and makes space for joy to live freely again. Every breath, every sound, every motion becomes part of a silent hymn of thanks. The day ahead may bring challenges, but gratitude ensures I will not meet them empty-handed. It reminds me that I already have enough, that I am already surrounded by grace. So as I rise to continue this day, Father, let gratitude be the light I carry into every space. Let it illuminate what others overlook, soften what bitterness hardens, and restore what weariness dulls. Where gratitude dwells, peace follows. Where thankfulness grows, abundance blooms. Let my life itself become an offering of thanks, a living prayer that whispers through every moment. I see your goodness here, even now. Father, as gratitude softens my heart and fills it with light, I begin to see more clearly that every act of thanksgiving leads to one deeper act of trust, the willingness to surrender. Gratitude teaches me to recognize what I have been given. Surrender teaches me to release what I cannot hold. They are twin movements of faith. One opens the eyes, the other opens the hands. And so, Lord, in this quiet moment, I come before you with open palms, ready not only to receive, but also to release. Lord, surrender has always frightened me. It sounds like losing, like letting go of the last bit of control that keeps my world in order. Yet the more I walk with you, the more I realize that surrender is not defeat, it is alignment. It is the decision to stop wrestling with what I was never meant to master. It is not a giving up, but a giving over, a yielding of my plans, my fears, and my expectations into the hands that have never failed me. Teach me to trust that letting go does not mean falling, but finally resting. God, I surrender the need to understand everything. So often I demand answers before I agree to peace. I try to make sense of what was meant to be mystery, and I exhaust my spirit searching for explanations that will not come. Today, let me trade curiosity for confidence, not in the outcome, but in your goodness. I do not need to know why things happen the way they do. I only need to know that you remain the same through it all. My peace does not depend on comprehension, but on connection. Father, I surrender the weight of worry that I have carried like armor. Worry pretends to protect me, but it only drains me. It whispers that I am responsible for keeping everything together, for controlling what is beyond my reach. But you never asked that of me. You asked only for faith. So now I release the illusion that my anxiety can prevent disaster. I lay down the constant mental rehearsals, the endless what-ifs. I replace them with one steady truth. You are already there in every tomorrow I fear. Lord, I also surrender the expectations I have built of how life should unfold, how people should behave, how dreams should arrive. These expectations, though built from hope, too often become cages. They narrow my ability to see your creativity in the unexpected, when things do not go as planned. I tend to call it failure, when in truth, it may be redirection. Help me to loosen my grip on outcomes, so that I can recognize blessings when they appear in unfamiliar forms. God, surrender means trusting that even unanswered prayers are answered differently. It means believing that silence can be strategy, that delay can be divine. It means releasing the timeline I have drawn and accepting the rhythm you have composed. Sometimes surrender is not an act of strength, but of softness, allowing grace to move freely, without my interference. I want to live like that, to be flexible yet faithful, steady yet surrendered, willing to be guided rather than driven. Father, there are parts of me that resist this, yielding, the pride that insists it knows better, the fear that clings to control, the insecurity that confuses surrender with invisibility. Touch those parts with gentleness, not judgment. I know you do not shame the struggle, you shape it. Every moment I choose to release instead of resist. I grow closer to your heart. Help me to see surrender not as a single act, but as a rhythm, daily, hourly, sometimes moment by moment, each release creating more room for peace. Lord, I surrender not only what burdens me, but also what blesses me. The people I love, the opportunities I cherish, the things that bring me joy, they, too, belong to you. Help me to love without possession, to give without control, to hold blessings lightly enough that they can move where you need them to go. When I cling too tightly, I mistake gifts for gods. Let me remember that all good things come from you and are sustained by you. Gratitude acknowledges this truth. Surrender lives it. God, when I let go, help me not to fear emptiness. You never take without giving. You only remove what stands in the way of something greater. Let the spaces left by surrender become invitations for new life. When one chapter ends, teach me not to mourn the closing, but to prepare for the unfolding. Life is not a series of losses, it is a continual exchange of grace. Every release is a return to freedom. Father, there are moments when surrender feels lonely, when I cannot yet see what will replace what I have laid down. In those moments, remind me that I have not lost control. I have simply returned it to the one who can handle it better. Help me to rest in that security. I may not know what the future holds, but I know who holds me. That is enough. Lord, I surrender even my image of perfection, the need to always appear strong, composed, and certain. Let vulnerability become my testimony. Let the cracks in my armor reveal the light of your presence shining through. I do not need to prove my faith by never faltering. I prove it by continuing to trust even when I tremble. Teach me that surrender and courage are not opposites, they are companions, walking hand in hand toward truth. And now, as the morning ripens into day, I feel something changing inside me. The tension that once gripped my heart begins to loosen. There is lightness in release, not loss but liberation. I see now that surrender is not the end of effort. It is the end of striving alone. It is the moment when I step out of the way and allow grace to do what strength could not. So, Father, let this surrender shape the rest of my day. Let it guide my responses, soften my tone, steady my heart. When I am tempted to grasp, let me open instead. When I am tempted to panic, let me pause. And when I am tempted to doubt, let me remember that surrender is not weakness, it is worship. It is the trust that you are enough, here and now, and that I lose nothing by giving everything into your hands. Father, as surrender settles in my heart like calm after a storm, I sense another stirring, gentle, yet powerful, the awakening of hope. Letting go has cleared the space where new beginnings can breathe. In the quiet that follows release, I hear the faint hum of possibility again. It is not loud or rushed. It moves softly, like dawn expanding over the edges of night. I realize now that surrender does not end the story. It simply makes room for resurrection. What once felt like loss is only preparation for the return of hope. Lord, hope is different from desire. Desire often looks for proof, for signs, for guarantees. Hope believes before seeing. It grows best in soil watered by faith, not certainty. It waits without demanding, trusts without condition, and dreams even in darkness. You have taught me that hope is not wishful thinking. It is courageous expectation, the confident belief that good will rise again, because you are good. Even when evidence disappears, your promises do not. God, there were seasons when hope felt impossible, when disappointment sat heavy in my bones, each prayer unanswered. Each door closed seemed to tighten the circle around my faith. But even then, you were quietly rebuilding what pain had dismantled, like roots deepening unseen during winter. You were fortifying the very foundation of my belief. Now, as light returns, I see that the hope I carry today is not fragile, it has been tested. It does not tremble as it once did. It stands, matured by endurance. Father, let hope become the lens through which I view this day. Let it color my thoughts with confidence, not naivety. Let it remind me that everything I face is temporary, but your purpose is eternal. Hope does not erase pain. It redeems it. It transforms fear into anticipation, waiting into preparation, and endurance into victory. Where the world sees endings, hope sees beginnings. Help me to live with that vision, to look at the broken and see what can be restored, to look at the weary and see what can still be renewed. Lord, teach me to protect hope like a flame in the wind. It does not need to roar to be real. It only needs to remain. Guard it from cynicism, from the subtle voice that says, nothing will change. Hope has survived greater storms than doubt. It endures not because it is untested, because it has learned to trust the one holds tomorrow. Let me nurture it daily, not with empty optimism, but with gratitude and perseverance. God. Hope often begins small, a single thought that things might get better, a quiet whisper that today is not the end. But small beginnings have always been your way. You start with seeds, not forests, with sparks, not flames. Let me not despise the smallness of hope. Even the faintest belief in your goodness can move mountains. Even the weakest prayer, if honest, can open the heavens. Hope thrives not in perfection, but in persistence. Father, help me bring hope to others. Let it not stay contained within me like a private comfort, but overflow into every encounter. When I speak, let my words build courage. When I listen, let my presence breathe reassurance. There are hearts around me that have grown tired, dreams that have fallen silent, and faiths that are flickering. Make me a keeper of hope for them. Let my kindness remind someone that goodness still exists. Let my patience remind them that time still heals. Let my faith remind them that miracles still happen quietly every day. Lord, there are times when hope feels like defiance, when believing in redemption seems unreasonable in a world of chaos. But that is precisely where hope shines brightest. It is rebellion against despair, a sacred protest that refuses to give darkness the final word. Help me to carry that holy defiance, to keep expecting beauty even when surrounded by brokenness, to keep sowing kindness even when harvest feels far away. God, I thank you for the kind of hope that does not depend on outcomes. Circumstances change. People shift. Seasons end, but your nature does not. Hope rooted in you is steady, unshaken by delay or denial. It is built on the certainty of your character, not the comfort of my situation. Let me rest in that assurance, even if promises take longer than I imagined. Let me remember that your timing is never late, it is always layered with wisdom. Father, remind me that hope is renewed through remembrance. When I recall how you have carried me before, my faith finds its footing again. Every answered prayer, every restored piece of my story, every quiet mercy is a testimony that hope is not misplaced. Help me to build my confidence on history, not emotion, to rehearse miracles instead of mistakes, to collect memories of grace as evidence that you are still at work. Sometimes, Lord, hope fades not because of tragedy, but because of routine. The sameness of days can numb the soul, and I forget that even ordinary moments hold extraordinary meaning. Awaken me again to the wonder of daily life, the way light falls through leaves, the sound of laughter, the simple act of breathing. These are not small things. They are proof that life continues, that renewal is constant. Where monotony has dulled my spirit, let wonder revive it. As morning stretches fully into day, I feel hope like a gentle fire spreading quietly through my being. It is not loud or dramatic. It simply restores color to what had faded, strength to what had weakened, and meaning to what had seemed mundane. This hope does not promise that everything will be easy, only that nothing will be wasted. Every trial, every waiting season, every surrender becomes the soil where new faith grows. Father, Let hope be the companion that walks beside me from sunrise to nightfall. Let it keep me looking forward with trust, speaking with courage, and living with expectancy. And when I grow weary again, when shadows stretch long across the day, remind me that hope never truly dies, it only rests, waiting to rise once more. For as long as you breathe life into this world, there will always be light breaking through somewhere, and I will keep my eyes open to find it. Father, as hope rekindles its quiet fire within me, I feel it turning my gaze forward, not merely to what I wish for, but to why I am here. Hope awakens direction. It reminds the heart that every breath still given carries meaning. And so, Lord, I come before you this morning with a single desire, to live aligned with your purpose. Not the world's measure of achievement, not the noise of expectation, but the deep, steady rhythm of why you placed me here. Let my steps today echo the song you composed for my life. Lord, I confess that purpose has often felt like a distant horizon, something I chase rather than something I live. I have looked for it in accomplishments, titles, or approval, thinking I must earn the right to be useful. But you have shown me that purpose is not found by striving. It is revealed by surrender. It is not a map to discover, but a relationship to follow. My purpose is not a single act, but a continual becoming, shaped by your presence in the ordinary moments I once overlooked. God, let me no longer separate sacred from simple. The way I greet a stranger, the patience I show in traffic, the compassion I offer to someone weary, these, too, are holy. Purpose does not always announce itself with grandeur. It often hides in small faithfulness. Teach me that meaning does not come from magnitude, but from motive. Let my daily actions, though quiet and unseen, become offerings that ripple far beyond my reach. Father, help me to understand that living with purpose begins with listening. Your will is not shouted from the heavens. It is whispered into the willing heart. Teach me to hear the soft pull that guides rather than pushes, the subtle conviction that redirects rather than demands. When confusion clouds my way, let peace, not pressure, be the sign of direction. Your calling does not bring chaos, it brings clarity. Even when I cannot see the full path, give me enough light for the next step, and courage to trust that the rest will unfold. Lord, remind me that purpose is not about success, but stewardship. What you place in my hands is never mine to keep. It is mine to cultivate. My gifts, my time, my opportunities, they are tools of love, meant to serve others and honor you. Help me to hold them with open hands, using them without pride and releasing them without regret. When I am tempted to compare my journey to another quiet that noise with truth, that every calling is unique, every life a melody in your grand design. God, purpose often asks for perseverance. It leads through seasons that test and refine. There are days when the work feels invisible, when progress hides beneath patience. On those days, remind me that significance is not measured by speed or spotlight, but by consistency and obedience. You see what others cannot: the late-night prayers, the small sacrifices, the steady faith that endures without applause. Teach me to keep sowing seeds even when I cannot yet see fruit. for purpose grows best beneath the surface before it blooms. Father, give me courage to follow the purpose that costs something. True calling often leads through discomfort, through places where faith must walk ahead of certainty. When I am tempted to retreat into safety, whisper again the promise that obedience will always bring fulfillment, even when it does not bring ease. Let me live for meaning, not convenience. Let me choose faithfulness over comfort, depth over popularity, authenticity over approval, purpose anchored in you cannot be shaken by circumstance. Lord, help me recognize that purpose evolves with each season. What was once mine to build may now be mine to bless. The tasks may change, but the mission remains to love, to heal, to bring light where shadows fall. Let me release outdated versions of myself without fear, trusting that every ending is a preparation for a new beginning. Purpose matures like a tree, it deepens downward, even as it reaches upward. Keep my roots firm in grace so that growth continues through every phase of life. God, I ask you to align my will with yours so deeply that I no longer feel the difference. Let service become joy, responsibility become worship, and endurance become love in motion. May everything I do today, no matter how mundane, be infused with intention to reflect your kindness, to bring peace where there is unrest, to leave behind traces of heaven in the spaces I walk through. Let my life speak softly of you without needing words. When discouragement whispers that I am insignificant, remind me that purpose is not measured by recognition, but by resonance. A single act of compassion can echo for generations. A quiet prayer can shift unseen realities. You work through the humble, the unnoticed, the surrendered. Let me be one of them, content to play my part in the great, unseen symphony of grace. Father, purpose is not a destination I will one day reach. It is the posture with which I live today. It is waking each morning with the willingness to say, use me here, in this place, with what I have. It is the courage to keep showing up even when results are hidden, and the faith to keep loving even when the world seems cold. My purpose, at its core, is to embody your heart in human form, to be a vessel through which others encounter hope, truth, and tenderness. Now, as the morning light climbs higher, I feel that truth settling and like warmth spreading through my chest. I do not need to chase purpose. I only need to walk with intention, guided by love. Every breath is assignment, every heartbeat mission. Wherever I go today, let me move not with hurry but with meaning, not with fear but with faith. For the greatest fulfillment I can find is not in achieving something for you, but in living every moment with you, carrying divine purpose quietly, faithfully, and fully alive. Father, as purpose settles in my heart and gives meaning to each step I take, I feel you leading me towards something even greater, the practice of compassion. Purpose gives direction, but compassion gives depth, transforms action into ministry, routine into relationship, and obedience into love. Without compassion, even the noblest work becomes hollow. And so, Lord, I ask you to awaken in me a tenderness that mirrors your own, a heart that does not merely see suffering, but chooses to respond. Lord, compassion is not sentiment, it is strength that feels. It is the ability to enter another's pain without drowning, to extend grace without measure, to carry burdens that are not my own and do it with quiet joy. It is not pity, which looks down, but mercy, which kneels beside. Teach me to see others not as interruptions or inconveniences, but as divine appointments, living reminders of your image in every human soul. God, soften the parts of me that have grown calloused from disappointment or self-protection. The world teaches hardness as a form of survival, but you invite vulnerability as a way of healing. I have learned to guard my heart so tightly. Sometimes I forget it was made to feel deeply. Break the shell of indifference that comfort builds around compassion. Let me weep again for what breaks your heart. Let empathy flow freely, not as weakness, but as wisdom, the kind that understands that love costs something, but is always worth the price. Father, give me eyes to notice those who are unseen, the quiet sufferer sitting alone, the weary worker behind the counter, the friend smiling through hidden pain. Let compassion sharpen my perception, so I do not rush past the hurting in pursuit of my own plans. Sometimes healing begins not with a miracle, but with attention. Let me offer that sacred gift, the grace of being fully present, of saying without words, "You are not alone." Lord, remind me that compassion begins where judgment ends. It is easy to love those who agree with me, who fit my comfort, who share my path, but true compassion crosses divides. It listens instead of labels, reaches instead of recoils. You touched lepers, spoke with outcasts, and forgave enemies. You did not wait for people to become lovable before you loved them. Let me love like that, without filter, without condition, without fear. God, compassion requires more than emotion. It demands action. Let me move beyond sympathy into service. When I see hunger, let me offer food. When I see sorrow, let me bring comfort. When I see injustice, let me use my voice not to condemn, but to restore. Teach me that compassion is not always grand. Sometimes it is a quiet consistency, the daily choice to be kind in a world that often forgets kindness. Father, help me to hold compassion for myself, too. I often extend mercy outward, but deny it inward. I carry regret like chains and speak to myself in tones I would never use for another. Teach me that compassion toward self is not selfishness, it is stewardship. I cannot pour healing if I despise the vessel. Let me rest in the truth that you love me fully, not because I am flawless, but because I am yours. From that acceptance, let compassion flow more freely toward others. Lord, make compassion my first instinct, not my last resort. Let it govern my reactions before anger speaks, guide my words before pride answers, and steady my spirit before impatience rises. Let me remember that everyone I encounter fights invisible battles. Even the harshest words often hide deep wounds. Let my gentleness become the balm that eases them. Where others bring accusation, let me bring understanding. Where others withdraw, let me draw near. God, I know compassion can be exhausting. It asks for presence when I want escape, forgiving when I feel empty. But you promise that when I refresh others, I will be refreshed. Compassion is a current. What flows out will flow back. Let me not fear depletion, for your mercy is endless. When I grow tired of caring, remind me to return to you, not to retreat from others. You are the well that never runs dry, the quiet strength behind every act of love. Father, let compassion extend beyond the people I see, to the world itself, to the creatures that share our breath, to the earth that sustains our living. Let me tread lightly, speak gently, and live as one aware of interconnection. Teach me that compassion is not limited by boundaries or species. It is the heartbeat of creation itself, a reflection of divine harmony. Every act of kindness restores a small piece of that balance. Lord, when the world feels cold and divided, let compassion be the light I carry. It does not need to change everything. It only needs to change the moment I am in. One act of mercy can echo across generations. One gesture of kindness can turn despair into possibility. Help me to live believing that compassion is never wasted, it always returns multiplied, shaping hearts I may never meet and healing places I may never see. As morning moves toward its fullness, I feel compassion rising quietly like warmth through my being. It is not loud or dramatic, but steady and sure, an inner river flowing outward. To live with compassion is to live in constant communion with you, with others, with the world you love. It turns every encounter into sacred ground, every act into worship. So let me walk through this day tender but strong, guided not by what I gain, but by what I can give. For compassion is not a duty. It is the purest evidence of your love alive in me. Father, as compassion fills the chambers of my heart and flows outward like a river of light, I begin to sense the deep quiet that follows love, freely given the stillness of peace. Compassion moves, but peace rests. It is the calm that remains when the storm has passed, the steady rhythm beneath all chaos. It does not shout or demand attention. It simply exists, gentle and immovable, like the ocean's depth, untouched by the waves above. In this stillness, Lord, I hear you most clearly, not in thunder or flame, but in silence. Lord, peace is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of trust. It is the quiet confidence that no matter what unfolds, I am held. It is knowing that the ground beneath me is solid, even when the air above me shakes. I have chased peace through achievement, through control, through distraction, but now I see that peace cannot be caught. It must be welcomed. It does not come from perfect circumstances. It comes from perfect surrender. When I rest in you, even chaos becomes sacred space. God, teach me to cultivate peace as a habit, not a reaction. Too often, I wait for things to settle before allowing my soul to breathe. But you invite me to breathe in the midst of the storm, to stand in the winds and still be unmoved. Let peace anchor me so deeply that the noise of the world no longer dictates my emotions. When opinions grow loud, when fears press close, when deadlines blur my sense of worth, remind me that peace is not found outside me, it is born within me, where you dwell. Father, let your peace guard my mind. So many battles are fought in thought long before they reach reality. Anxiety begins in imagination, but so does faith. Replace the images of fear with visions of grace. Let my mind become a sanctuary where truth lives and lies cannot linger. When worry rises, let your word respond. When doubt whispers, let memory answer, reminding me of every time you came through, every valley you carried me across, every night you turned into morning. Lord, teach me the discipline of stillness. The world glorifies motion, but you often move in quiet. I fill my days with noise, my heart with striving, and my prayers with words, yet you meet me best in silence. Let me learn to sit, to wait, to listen, not because I am lazy, but because I am loved. Stillness is not inactivity, it is intimacy. It is the pause where connection deepens, where strength renews, where purpose aligns with peace. Make my silence sacred again. God, peace requires forgiveness. I cannot hold resentment and rest at the same time. Bitterness burns like wildfire, consuming joy until only ashes remain. Help me release the grudges I have justified, the anger I have nurtured in secret. Let forgiveness be my freedom, not because others deserve it, but because I do. You have forgiven me endlessly. How can I withhold what has been lavished upon me? As I forgive, let peace return like rain after drought, soaking the dry ground of my heart. Father, let peace fill my home. Let it dwell in the tone of my voice, in the pace of my steps, in the patience of my responses. Let it settle over my household like morning light that seeps into every corner. Where there has been misunderstanding, let gentleness rebuild connection. Where exhaustion has strained love, let rest restore tenderness. Let peace not only be felt within me, but recognized around me, so that even those who cross my path may sense calm and know they have encountered something holy. Lord, remind me that peace is also courage. It is not passive acceptance, but quiet strength. It is choosing calm when chaos provokes reaction, choosing kindness when anger demands response, choosing faith when fear shouts loudest. True peace is an active defiance against despair. It stands its ground without raising its voice. Let me carry that unshakable calm wherever I go, so that even in conflict, I remain grounded, and even in loss, I remain whole. God, I thank you for the seasons when peace was not instant, but formed slowly through trust. I remember the nights when tears soaked my prayers. Yet somehow, sleep still came. That was peace too, not the peace of circumstance, but the peace of presence. It held me when logic failed, when strength faded, when words ran out. That peace did not erase the pain, but it carried me through it. Teach me to treasure those moments when serenity was a miracle and not a mood. Father, let peace be the melody of my mornings and the rhythm of my evenings. Let it flow into my speech, my decisions, my pace. When I am tempted to rush, remind me that peace never hurries. When I am tempted to argue, remind me that peace does not need to win. When I am tempted to worry, remind me that peace has already settled the outcome. Let me walk through today as one already victorious, not because everything is solved, but because I know who holds tomorrow. Lord, I ask for peace not only for myself, but for the world. There is so much noise, division, fear, and striving. Nations rise against nations, people against people, hearts against hearts. But peace begins where humility begins, where we listen, where we soften, where we choose compassion over control. Use me as an instrument of that peace, not in grand gestures, but in everyday mercy. Let my presence bring calm into chaos, understanding into conflict, and patience into pressure. As the morning brightens and the world stirs awake, I feel that peace now subtle, steady, and strong. It is not something I created, but something I accepted. It is the reward of release, the echo of trust, the whisper of your nearness. This peace does not remove me from the world. It roots me deeper within it, so that I may walk lightly yet firmly, giving what I have received, and what I have, Lord, is enough, because peace that flows from you is endless, and where it dwells, everything finds rest. Father, as peace settles deep within me and the world begins to stir with light, I feel a quiet completion rising, not an ending, but a fulfillment. Every prayer, every tear, every whispered word across these mornings has led me here, to this still, sacred space where surrender meets serenity. The journey that began in darkness now unfolds in brightness, and I understand that faith is not a path of escape from life, but an awakening within it. You have carried me from fear into freedom, from striving into rest, from silence into song. Lord, this moment feels like standing on the threshold of something eternal. The air itself seems lighter, as if creation is breathing with me. The trees outside sway in rhythm. The birds begin their hymns, and the light seeps gently through the horizon. All of it feels like prayer made visible. I realize now that the purpose of every dawn is not merely to announce another day, but to remind me that renewal is constant, that even after the longest night, your mercy is still new. Hope is not a single spark. It is the steady fire that burns in the heart that believes. God, I thank you for this journey, for the valleys where I learned humility, for the mountaintops where I glimpsed your glory, for the wilderness that taught me trust. Every chapter of prayer has been a step in transformation, not toward perfection, but toward presence. You have not removed my weaknesses. You have repurposed them. My wounds are no longer proof of failure, but signs of healing. They remind me that brokenness is not the opposite of beauty, it is the birthplace of grace. Father, as the light grows stronger, I sense you calling me not to conclusion, but to continuation. This prayer is not something I finish. It is something I live. It extends into every word I speak, every decision I make, every act of kindness that leaves my hands. My life itself becomes the ongoing conversation with you, a dialogue without punctuation, a melody without end. I see now that the sacred is not confined to moments of stillness, but flows through the movement of living. Lord, thank you for teaching me that prayer does not change you. It changes me. It shapes the way I see the world, teaching me to notice what love looks like in every form. It softens my edges, quiets my fears, and steadies my breath. Through prayer, I have learned to trust silence, to embrace mystery, to walk in light I do not fully understand. You are the peace that remains when the words are gone, the whisper that stays when the sound fades. God, as this journey of morning prayer draws near its close, I want to express gratitude for those who have listened and prayed along the way. Every soul who has shared these moments is part of a sacred gathering, unseen yet deeply felt. Together, we have built an altar of words and longing, where faith has met experience and love has become tangible. To each listener who has walked through this dawn with me, thank you for your patience, your openness, your willingness to believe that the unseen can be real. Father, let this final reflection be an invitation rather than a farewell. Let it call those who hear it to keep praying, to keep hoping, to keep believing. Faith is not a finish line, but a rhythm to live by, a steady pulse that beats even when we forget to notice it. Every sunrise is a new conversation, every breath a chance to begin again. Remind us that no matter how far we wander, the way back to you is always as near as the next moment of stillness. Lord, I ask that this peace carried in prayer may move outward to homes, to hearts, to nations. Let it travel where words cannot, healing what the world has wounded. Let it be the quiet voice that reminds someone they are loved, the gentle nudge that pulls a weary heart back to trust. May those who hear these words find not my voice, but yours, calm, patient, eternal. Let this final whisper become a seed that grows long after the sound fades. God, I stand here now in the fullness of morning, surrounded by light that feels almost alive. The breeze moves softly through the open window, carrying the scent of new beginnings. Somewhere in the distance, water flows, a quiet stream winding through the earth, reflecting the sky's first golden hues. I imagine it as your spirit, flowing without end, steady and clear, reminding me that life, too, continues beyond this moment. Father, thank you for the privilege of this sacred dialogue. Thank you for every listener who has joined, for every heart that has opened, for every tear that has become a prayer. Let their lives be marked by peace, their paths guided by wisdom, their mornings filled with grace. As this reflection comes to rest, let it not close but expand like light spilling over the edge of dawn, touching everything it meets. To those who have walked this spiritual journey until now, thank you for staying. You are part of something living, something holy. May you carry this peace into your own mornings. Share what you have felt here, your prayers, your reflections, your faith with those who seek light as you have. Leave your words below, and let this space become a sanctuary for all who wander and wish to be found. If these prayers have touched your spirit, I invite you to stay connected, subscribe, share this message, and continue walking with us through each new dawn. Let every morning remind you that grace is never exhausted, and that faith, once awakened, never sleeps. And now, as the final words fade into quiet, the world stands bathed in soft gold. The wind carries whispers through the trees, the light stretches across the fields, and the river glimmers as it flows forward, endless. Gentle, alive, the morning has come, and with it, everything begins again.